All right, greetings everyone. My name is Files, and I'm joined by Karaoke, and we are joining this race in medias res. We're about 3 to 4 minutes in, and already these runners, they're making checks, they're getting things done. How's it going, Karaoke?
I'm doing quite well on this fine rando day, and I see we got our first sword already. Our first sword? Second sword? First sword. All right. We have swords. We have mushrooms. We got a bow on one side and a moon pearl and quake, and yeah, we'll be seeing as these two runners kind of chase each other's tails here, where they're picking up all those fine items today as we this race between WillardJBradley and Illus in Group A of the SpeedGaming Live Link to the Past Randomizer tournament.
Yeah, it's been a banger tournament so far. These group races have been producing just a ton of great matches, and this one is no exception. It looks like the start of this race here, we've got some bows, already we've got a sword here, so things are looking up. Looks like these runners have both opted to do a Kakariko start, and it looks like nothing particularly exciting in the race game. So that's, you don't have to worry about that. And we've got some sync action going on here. One of the nice things about starting off with boots is that the Agina's area is immediately available. So a lot of times you'll see runners go there even before Kakariko. We are getting a Lake Hylia check from Illus, and it looks like it was just a heart container, so nothing particularly exciting. Willard going for spin speed.
Yeah, the boot start gives a definite set of checks that you wouldn't see in a normal sort of, ooh, there's a lifty Titan's power glove there.
the old nifty Titans power glove.
Yeah, that guy.
It's the gray one. I mean, you know, the accent color is the same on the Titans mitts, isn't it? It's similar.
Something like that. And, you know, with how fast these runners go, they just pick it up and go, okay, cool, I got this thing, and move on. So.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, we're getting some real similar routing here from these runners. I mean, obviously, when you find the bow in Kakariko, we didn't quite get a map check. Maybe Twitch chat can bail us out if we know that these runners are in fact in Crystal Eastern Palace. Because if it's Crystal, that would explain why they are both willing to just head over here so very quickly. But yeah, it looks like Illus does not have that bow, so everything I just said was a lie.
He's got it equipped, so he definitely has one.
Oh, yeah, he does. Okay, all right, sounds good. Never learned how to read. Never learned how to read. Our poor tracker is catching up, so. All right, so we'll have to see what exactly we're gonna get from here.
Nothing so far, just the map in the first chest, boss key in the second one here, so heading back deeper, of course, with that bow, they can get through this whole thing. Hopefully there'll be something else to open up things a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. With the with this being a crystal, we are definitely, I mean, even if they don't find anything, like, they're still getting something done, so it makes sense that this dungeon is being kind of looked at in the time that it is. So, but we got ourselves a nice Eastern Palace clear. Even with boots and a bow in the best of times, it still just takes a little time to plow through it. So, oh, flute. Okay, we'll take that. There is one more item at large. So, Willard opting to go for the item as is Illus, so we're not going to get any weird shenanigans. This dark room is not particularly difficult, especially with runners that have a lot of experience with it. You'll even see a lot of them do dashing, which is exactly what both of these runners are doing to pick up that key.
Easily one of the first dark rooms that I believe a lot of runners learn when starting to take a crack at quote-unquote out of logic things once you start getting more experience with the base game itself.
Oh yeah, actually I'd say one of the most dangerous dark rooms in the game, at least in my opinion, is the cape. That's could be relevant. We'll have to see later. But actually, the room coming up with the green Igors is actually relatively dangerous. You're seeing Willard actually stop to pick up those hearts in anticipation of this room, because without a fire source, this room can get just a little sketchy. There's a lot of RNG and a lot of enemies in here. So you're going to see these runners most likely taking their time, lining up the arrows, making sure they get knowledge of where that green Igor is. You can see both of them fishing. Yep, and both of them kind of identifying the location where that Igor is with the arrow, so they know where it is. Because once you get close and activate it, it starts running around all over the place. So good job by both of these runners, using relatively fast strats, but still being cautious, because nothing's a bigger time save than dying. Well, not dying.
I was thinking there for a second. I had the loading screen on my brain going like,
did Files just drop some inverse knowledge on me? No.
Well, I mean, if you want to leave the dungeon, then yeah, dying might be pretty quick, but not when you want to complete it. And we're pretty close to sync here at the boss, Armos. Both runners going for the strategy where you leave one with just a little one shot of HP left, so you can smack it down at the end. Files, or Illus, not getting it. Your Files, this is Illus. Getting a crystal there.
We jumped in here, so we're still mind adjusting. But yeah, both the runners, if you can kill that final Armos before it turns red, it is much faster and doesn't gain its health back. So the strat that both those runners used is definitely the traditional speedrun strat there. Illus had one of them get a little away from him, but you can see even when it fails, if you set up correctly, you're only losing a few seconds there. Alright, so I suspect both these runners are going to head to the back of Escape, and that does appear to be the case. They're going to take those lifty, power glovey things that you mentioned, and they're going to get some work done back here. Willard wants to murder some rats first, and really, who can blame them? They're gross.
No, the ones in the sewers, yeah, they can get pretty big and kind of interesting, but having kept pet rats in the past, the fancy kind, they're really nice and really smart. Just picking up half back there, which isn't necessary, but can be useful depending on pickups of other such items.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, in terms of non-required items, depending on your mode, I really like half magic. It lets you do more of the fun stuff in this game, like shoot a bajillion fire rod shots. But we've got ourselves some simultaneous flute activation. Flute, one of those items that's really nice to get early in the game. Not only does it speed up a lot of checks just for getting around your overworld faster, but it can actually kind of correct a little bit any kind of routing discrepancies in the beginning of the game, because you end up paying for them a little bit less just because there's a little bit less overworld movement. So
it turns out,
yeah, Moon Pearl on Bottle Vendor, it sounds like, yeah. So Illus is a whole 4 rupees short.
Yeah, so, and who knows when, considering didn't have enough when heading back to activate the flute, and not picking up the rupees there, that could have helped. Probably assuming you'll get some eventually, but hopefully that doesn't become the dreaded last location for Illus here. I
mean, runners of these, both these guys are very good at this randomizer. I have been playing for a while, so like, I don't think he forgot that it's there. I just think he's like, I've got this flute. It's gonna be super easy to get back to the bottle vendor. Like, let's do some other checks. It's not like he's one item away from Dark World access right now or anything. So he's probably just like, we'll get to it eventually. Odds are pretty
Rupees
good
are-
that in Generous Sky Cave, you're probably gonna get some rupees, right?
Yeah, rupees are pretty common. Those aren't rupees though. That's a flippers.
I feel like that's a very like canonically lore appropriate place for the flippers to be. Like if you're not gonna get them in Zora's domain, like underneath the dam seems appropriate, right? Very on brand.
Both what places? I feel sorry for the person who went swimming in the dam and lost their flippers.
Yeah, that's true. Like maybe if you drain the dam even more, there would just be like a skeleton there.
Oh, that's creepy. We're not in October anymore. No more.
maximum spookiness. Well, we can deal with spooky later when we head to Misery Mire. Right now, we're focused on Generous Sky Cave, and we've got all right, blue. It's the blue cave, blue sword, blue mail. Arrows aren't blue. I guess the fletching on the arrows is blue. We're gonna go with that.
Yeah, and then it's a pretty good, protection cave with the blue mail and some additional heart pieces there. Master Sword they won't need to, dig around for later.
Yeah, always nice to get. With Master Sword and Cape, you're starting to think a little bit about Aghanim, not technically in logic without the lantern, and there's still plenty of other checks to do, but it's something to keep in mind. With flippers with boots and flutes. Oh wow, Willard gets the 50-50 rock for the Ice Rod Cave bomb. Nice. I mean, I guess it wouldn't have been that hard to enter and leave a cave to reset that rock, but it's always better to get in the first try. And he hilariously gets more bombs from it, so. Meanwhile, Illus, still 4 rupees short for his Moon Pearl. He'll be getting there eventually, I would imagine. Meanwhile, we got both our runners taking advantage of these flippers. Willard's setting up a water walk here. Pretty neat trick. Lets you dash across these water spaces a lot faster than swimming. So even if you have the flippers, a lot of times it makes sense to set up the water walk.
Oh, 3rd medallion already. All right.
Yeah, jeez. We are not gonna have to worry about golden circles this seed.
Yeah, no problems getting into Misery Mire and or Turtle Rock, or vice versa, depending on how Dark World crystals shake out today.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we've got the actual Zora area here, which I believe Willard is heading back to. That appears to be the case. So these runners have been kind of all up in each other's business this seed. I feel like the item locations have kind of lent themselves to a relatively straightforward light world, especially when you have. Wow, we are
okay. Fully clothed.
If you could wear it, we've got it here. And the only other the piece of clothing that we're missing is the Titan's mints, and that would probably be a little bit too much to ask. Alright, just bombs on Zora's Ledge, and if Illus didn't have enough money for Bottle Vendor, it certainly doesn't have enough money for Zora. But does have 100 now for Bottle Vendor, so I wonder if that will be the next check. It's hard to tell when you flute. Alright, going back to 3. Illus gonna be picking up that Moon Pearl.
Good job. Good job.
And stone-faced on camera. He's like, it was never a problem, guys. Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry, we doubted you, Illus. We just wish the best and don't want to see anything tragic happen in these wonderful races that we've been showing all weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and again, runners of this quality here, they're most likely not going to miss anything. That was I'm sure 100% planned. But we've got ourselves an Agena Cave check. Just 20 bucks. Not too exciting. Death Mountain could be exciting, though, although we only have 2 checks up here. Only one of which is in logic. Alright, top of Spectacle Rock. Doesn't have anything. Willard is making the play. He's saying, there's gonna be something in Spectacle Rock Cave. I don't even have to look at it first. I'm going straight in. I respect that. And he gets burned.
Same thing on the top as it was inside. Oh well. Illus going into the dark portion of the cave, breaking the logic here a little bit to guide the old man home.
Yep. Let's see what we come up with. Meanwhile, Willard checking out Desert Ledge, making a similar play that Illus just did. We'll see if he opts to actually check the inside before jumping down. It's a pretty reasonable play by Willard. There weren't a ton of checks left, so I don't blame him for it. Alright, not quite as many broken hearts this time around. Alright, I think we've got runners. Since we came in a little late, I wasn't positive if they had gone to, like, how much of escape had been done.
Yeah, from the other siege with this setting open with starting boots, I usually see that escape kind of gets pushed to be one of the later locations. Oh, hammer. Okay. One of the later locations that gets checked in terms of everything, just because you can run so far around the overworld, you're not, I guess, diving into this area that takes a while to get through without having as many chests as, say, like, chaining that whole southern Hyrule area from, Ice Rod in the east to Gina in the west. But I think this is definitely the next step that they had to take, considering they got the hammer and Illus already using that hammer to head over into the Dark World.
Willard giving us some excellent facial expressions there. I thought we were going to see some route divergence. It looked like Willard was ready to commit to like the bottom of escape, perhaps, and ultimately decided not to. We got a map check here. I saw Turtle Rock Mire pendants, and it looked like Pod was a 6 crystal. That was about all I saw.
Yeah, I believe Ice Palace was also a pendant, so all 3 pendants are in the Dark World. And it'll be interesting to see, Turtle Rock is pendant. That means, Ice Rod isn't going to possibly be... There's the Fire Rod right there, speaking of rods. But yeah, might not be on Ice Rod Go Mode Hunt today, but you never know.
I mean, it's possible. I'll give that hype cave like a 5 out of 10. The bottle, I think that's the first bottle that we're seeing these runners with, so that could potentially be a useful bottle in terms of an item check. But looks like Willard's not going to be too far down. He took a detour over to Powder Bat before entering the Dark World, and his little bit of indecisiveness in front of Hyrule Castle did cost him a little time, not too much. Meanwhile, we're getting a pyramid check here. Ooh. Oh, that's a good pyramid check. Hook shot being picked up. So quite a few things. Pyramid's one of those checks where some runners find it hard to kind of route in. Now, with this exact setup, with having bow and hammer and knowing that Pod is a crystal, I think runners are going to be more tempted to head up that way. So I wouldn't be shocked if Willard ended up heading in that direction as well. Whereas, like if Pod were a pendant, you might be more tempted to head elsewhere, perhaps. There's just so many things in Pod, though.
Oh yeah, Pod's got a lot of stuff in it usually.
Like lots of keys.
Sometimes, but yeah, gotta get through all the keys first, and then you can find the good stuff in the back.
I do respect this catfish check though, because if he does not route catfish in like right now, essentially. It's going to be really hard to kind of justify. Willard getting bodied right by the hammer bridge there. Does recover nicely. All right, catfish is a whole lot of nothing. I do like the save and quit there. It is faster to flute out and then portal back in if Pod is indeed your intended direction. Yep, and that appears to be the case. Meanwhile, Willard picking up that hook shot. We'll see if Willard opts to go over to catfish, or we'll go straight to Pod. Both are justifiable. All right, looks like going straight to Pod. So we're going to have these runners entering Pod at relatively close times here.
Yeah, Willard might be putting catfish until possible Zora check, though honestly, with as much stuff they have right now, I can see dungeons kind of being a focus for a little bit here versus going to some of those final overworld checks scattered about.
Yeah, definitely. Well, especially with, I mean, there's just so many things that we can get done. So I agree. Now we get to see, now we've got hammer, but we have, and boots, but we have no mirror. So pod routing is, and bow, excuse me. So pod routing, relatively straightforward. The only thing tricky you might want to do is set up a death warp in the back. Can be a little trickier to do when you've got red mail because it's harder to kill yourself, but we'll see how these runners opt into doing it. With bow being so early, whether or not like most of pod is bow locked or not is not a particularly interesting logical point. They'll be able to kind of clear this relatively normally here. But one thing to keep in mind is because they don't have mirror, there's definitely a couple different approaches. As you can already see, they're doing pod just a little bit differently than each other. Because there's no small key in that chest that Willard just checked, he's going to be forced to drop down here and follow the kind of the course that Illus is doing. So depending on the location of the big key, like if it ends up being in its vanilla location, routing could favor either runner just a little bit here, just depends. And because we've got a bow, no fancy tricks. Just straight up mimic killing. Alright, is it going to be double small key over here? I suspect it will be, yep. So what I suspect we'll see, since we don't have a big key yet, is yep, exactly this. I like this pod routing from Illus. Not having a mirror, this might not be like the 100% most optimal way. Like if you happen to know where all the keys were, but when you don't and don't have a mirror, I feel like this works out relatively well. Willard having some beetle troubles. Wow, that was impressive. Hit all 4 of them with one hammer hit. Meanwhile, that big key was in its vanilla location, so.
It happened to drop back down here, teleport back up. Just kind of following your footsteps again.
Yep. Well, again, mirrorless pod routing. Like, even the NMG run of this, like, you mirror, like, 3 times in here, I believe. Like, it's a lot, so. You definitely, it's one of those items you notice when you don't have it, so. You really have to kind of think on your feet when you're in here and kind of adapt to key situations or come in here with a real solid plan. So we've got a big key already, so I suspect we're going to see some hammer jumps from both of these runners. Or perhaps not.
I'm going to check out the room to the right first.
Yeah, although actually now that I think about it, not... Like, most runners can do the pod maze in the dark from the front. There might not be a ton of runners who are as comfortable with it from the back in the dark. So it could be that perhaps Illus was either thinking that or thought it would be easier to set up a death warp coming at it from the top, which is not a terrible idea.
Okay, another sword. That's fine. They're just throwing, what are we, 30? They're not even 30 minutes in, we got red mail and red sword. They're just throwing everything at the runners right away to get them out.
Yeah, you're never sad to see tempered sword, that's for sure. So Willard making his way through the dark maze. Both runners picking up map nearly the same time. It's like a reverse sync. Willard having some trouble with these fire shooters.
One heart.
I mean, he's basically out now, but I mean, honestly, we're gonna say that was all planned and he was setting up the death warp. But luckily, that red mail definitely paying benefits, and he is not messing around. He's like, I'm getting out the hammer. I don't want to take any hits from these turtles.
and using the powder on one of those fairies to get some of those hearts back.
Yep, so that tells me that Willard is just kind of planning on walking out. You'll notice that he saved the Harmless Hellway for last in this check. So he seems to be planning on kind of walking out the back, which is, again, you're seeing the differences in routing of this dungeon with no mirror. And hilariously, both of these runners, having entered this dungeon at about the same time, are going to be finishing up with these checks and getting into the statue room pod at about the same time. So no Canis Mario, we have to do this puzzle the intended way. Feels bad, man. Alright, so outside of Tempered Sword, which is always nice, but perhaps not logically required, not a whole lot exciting in pod here. And who doesn't enjoy the cutscene wall in pod?
It's, perfect time to action thing.
Yeah, Willard gesturing at the slowly moving wall, willing it to go faster. Doesn't work that way, buddy. Does not work that way. So we'll be entering a room here that's filled with turtles. I would be shocked if both runners didn't pull out their fire rod, because this is another very dangerous room if you don't have either an alternate fire source with a fire rod or like one of the medallions to stun or to kill the turtles that you flipped over with your hammer. Just like because... Yep, exactly.
Willard tried it first, but switched up to get that fire rod going.
And you're seeing some of the disadvantages of red mail. Because Willard had full health and one hit from the turtle didn't take a half heart, he was not able to get rid of those sword beams, so that actually slowed down his turtle room a little bit there. Alright, Helmosaur, relatively straightforward fight. When you're this kitted out with red mail and tempered sword and stuff, you're not particularly worried about this fight, so Illus definitely finishing it off very nicely. I never learned how to count Kari, so I don't know if there's an item on Helmosaur. There is, but it's not exciting. This is the Dungeon of Red, a tempered sword. Did we get red mail in here too?
Red mail was Waterfall Fairy.
Ah, yeah, you're right. You're right. I was trying to set up a narrative there, and it fell flat immediately. Now I'm sad.
The boss is red, and he had a red item. And
there we go. See, thank you.
I think there was maybe some heart pieces in there too, so there's a little bit of red, a little bit.
I knew you'd bail me out. I appreciate that. Red crystal, yeah. Chat helped me. Oh, look at that.
We're all in this together, guys.
I'm red with love with you guys for bailing me out. All right, so we have a couple options here. Yeah, Illus getting that bottle check out of the way. Again, when you've got a flute, it's not a particularly time-intensive check, and there's more red. Illus literally stealing the hearts and minds of children everywhere for support. I appreciate it. So are we getting a powder check from Illus? That is something that Willard did actually before he even entered the Dark World. So that little gap from pod will be closing right here, and these runners will kind of be on the same foot again. I suspect what's next is, as you mentioned it a little bit, Kari, is that dungeons. We've got Fire Rod, we've got Hammer, so Skullwoods items and Thieves' Town items are on the table.
Actually, yeah, Tempered Sword was in pod. It was the red mail that was in Waterfall Fairy. Okay. All these red items, And now we're heading, into Village of Outcast. Probably gonna, I'd say, coin flip between Thieves' Town and Skullwoods. I mean, Willard's heading into, the village proper, so probably Thieves' Town first. Yeah, he's going right in to do the...
Yeah, I'm going straight there, yeah. Yeah, I suspect this is a crystal. I'm trying to remember from our map check, but I believe that was the case. And when you got to clear it right away. I mean, we're not a ton of items from Go Mode. We do know that Willard does have the hook shot there. So I mean, we could be potentially Samaria. We might not even need Samaria, actually, now that I think about it. Depending on where the GT big key is, Samaria might not be required. But yeah, as you mentioned, there was a little bit of a coin flip here on the Skullwoods versus Thieves Town, so it'd be nice to see some simultaneous coverage of two different dungeons here so we can get an eye on... Because I think mitts right now are the kind of like the big go-to item that both these runners are going to be looking for.
Yeah.
And again, no mirror, which we might need for... We'll need that for Swamp, I guess, so that's another item that we need too. But yeah, with no mirror, it is definitely better to wait for the Wallmaster there than to climb out, having to push that statue again, so... But yeah, the interesting thing about mitts and mirror in this scenario is that both of those items do open up quite a bit of checks. So depending on... It could be a very interesting game here if both of them are available in this sphere of items, and one runner finds one and the other finds another. So we'll kind of have to see how this seed shakes out. And again, when you know you have to clear Skull Woods, it doesn't make a ton of sense to like spend a lot of time in the front. Like, go to the back, kill the boss. It might have one of the items that one of the two items that you're looking for, and then you can kind of plan accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Use the
see how the moth fight goes here.
Use the think inside of your brain while you're using the fight inside of your brain on the boss, and kind of plan out where you're going next, depending on things. And moth did have an item.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the things that you'll see. Like, if you spend any time watching like good runners play this game, sometimes they'll talk to themselves, or they'll say, all right, if this check is anything but like hammer, I've got a mirror and flute to here. Or if this check is anything but, or if this check is flutes or, flute or like flippers, then I've got to do this. Like, always thinking ahead as to what your checks could be and planning accordingly. That will save you a lot of time kind of, dithering around doing nothing, or will let you make smarter choices as you're playing throughout the seeds. So. Meanwhile, Thieves Town not looking particularly exciting for Willard. Probably the only thing that he's going to get out of here that he's going to really like is a crystal. And maybe a date, apparently.
Yeah, we'll see at the end here if that turns out okay.
I think things will go great. No one will turn into a monster or anything. No, alright. Unfortunate. Blind, of course, as we all know, scripted fight, very straightforward. Not expecting too much crazy variance from this fight here. Willard executing it nicely. Gets a compass for his trubs. Attempts to hammer dash, but picks up the crystal anyway. I suspect what we'll see now is the runners will do the checks kind of on the way to their next stop, but I suspect there will be some kind of dungeon swapping at this point. Willard will most likely head up Silvers. Probably worth it, I'd say, at this point. Yep, yeah, Illus took him a second to do the calculus. He got out a calculator and abacus and figured out the time, and did come to the correct conclusion that Silver's worth the time investment. Not only do they save time on the Ganon fight, but they can save time on like Landmo 2 and a few other boss fights, like Vitreous, if that ends up being a thing in this seed.
Hopefully not, but...
I mean, look, it's possible. That's all I'm saying. I mean, we've still got mitts, we still got mirror at large. Now, obviously, mitts can't be in Misery Mire, but mirror could. All right, so as we suspected, we've got a bit of a swap on the map here. Both these runners making other checks. We'll see, is Willard going to get out his sundial and take off his shoes so he can count higher than 10. He is. All right. He also did the math, came to the same conclusion that Illus did.
And a
So
nice
if
big shrug
anyone,
there.
if anyone is interested in my proprietary Is Silver's Worth It formula, talk to Hitsuyan. He knows all about it. So yeah, we're gonna be getting again some real similar checks here. Illus is gonna make his way through Thieves Town. Not gonna come up with much, except for potentially a date that goes sour at the end and a crystal.
Willard heading back into Skullwoods. Also, not going to get much out of it than a crystal.
Yeah, not even a failed date. It's cruel. It's harsh. I guess they both have a day with destiny. Probably not. All right, so Willard opting to do some checks in the front of Skullwoods here. Is not rewarded with very much. Big key that turns into a compass. I'm curious where both of their next moves are going to be. There are like a few checks kind of in the rest of the Dark World, kind of like the self loop there.
And there's like a few things, but there's a lot of stuff that runners tend to like to group together with other checks that require Titan's Mitts or Mirror, which neither of the runners have right now, so it'll be interesting to see what ends up next on the menu for this seed.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, that with both of the runners having entered the Dark World first, kind of right south of Link's house, and having done kind of the Hype Cave and up checks, we've got a little bit of that Dark World South loop. But I mean, Death Mountain is not very accessible. They pretty much got the checks done that they could up there without the mirror or without the hook shot. They can't really get anywhere on the east side of it, so that's all off limits until they find one of those two items. Willard having some Gibdos trubs, but manages to get his way through that. Half magic definitely helps. Although it looks like he'd had just enough one way or the other there.
Mafia would be weak to the bug net, I agree with that.
That would be pretty sweet. I mean, Aghanim technically weak to the bug net, right? If you think about it. The Aghanim balls will bounce off the bug net. I'm sure there's somebody can write a ROM hack out there to make Mothula just take instant fatal damage from the bug net. That would be pretty sweet. All right, so Willard getting his crystal. I think he's in the think tank right now, trying to decide where he wants to go from here. I would say that one of the advantages from clearing top to bottom the way Illus did is that he's a little bit more centrally located now. So, has a little bit more options in the Dark World if indeed and does intend on heading kind of in that South Dark World loop. The difference could be minor, but, because both runners kind of had to walk out of and leave Skull Woods anyway, so it's not like that was much of a time difference. But it's when the runners are this high of a quality, this is one of those things that you think about. If you make 10 decisions over the course of an hour-and-a-half seed, and each one of those decisions saved you 5 to 10 seconds, do the math. I mean, that could be quite a bit of time savings. And, when the competition is this fierce, it can make a difference.
Not more math.
I know, right? Get out your calculators, kids. If you thought this was bad, wait till we get to Aga 2. I'm going to ask you to get your protractor out and a compass. Every time I do that, I end up... oh, that was pretty cool from Willard. The hook shot through the spike there. A difficult lineup. All right, so we got a save and quit from Willard. With the last item from Skull Woods, it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, Illus heading into that South Dark World loop. So let's see what's in the dig game here. I'm curious if he will... See, when Willard was in pod, he committed to picking up enough rupees for Zora, whereas Illus has been a little short of money this whole seed. He was late to pick up his Moon Pearl because of paying off the bottle vendor, although it didn't really cost him a ton of time. But yeah, I guess with the hook shot, Willard opting for this Death Mountain check again. Oh, the mitts! The mitts on Stumpy. So this could be rough for Willard. Willard opting to do this this Death Mountain check here. If the mirror is over here, Willard is going to be in trouble because he will, you know, he'll be doing all of these mirror checks that Illus will not have to worry about. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It very well might not be over here. One of the best things to be in this game, I think, is to be in Mitts Go mode, because there's so many things that like the Mitts block, like in terms of access to, that if that's your last item, you usually end up go moding like 2 or 3 dungeons.
And there's a gold sword. It's a gold sword, half magic, red mail.
Yeah, silvers.
We're silvers yet. That's the other thing I was noticing and forgetting about. And Willard picking up a shovel as well. Possible that shovel might lead him down to that area where the mitts are going to be. Yeah,
like that's actually a really good point. And in fact, if that, you know, the mirror was not in Paradox Cave, but if it had been, he might have been more tempted to head down there. We'll just have to see. I am super curious to see what is in Dark Death Mountain on the east side, because that's going to be the one differentiator, I think, in this seed. If something good or important is there, Willard's going to have a hard time getting up there, I think, especially with Turtle Rock being a pendant. All right, so we've got Hera here. All right, so we're going to see Willard setting up a Hera pot. The hook shot setup here with hook speed is definitely can take a few tries. I was, you could, I don't know about everyone else that's better at this game than me, but whenever I have to practice that, I feel like I can get it 3 times in a row and then fail it 10 times in a row.
I just see it in a like magic. Hera pot's one of those more newly discovered tricks in the run past from when I stopped actively actually running this game instead of just watching it and learning it and not touching it myself. So I see them go in the pixels, and it just kind of goes nope, and then they're upstairs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, essentially what you have to do is you have to clip 1 pixel into the edge of the pot there, and then use another means to get past it. So like you can use a bomb to push you in. You can use hook speed to push you in, but once you're in there, then the hook shot, like you can, you know, push the rest of your way in. So it's definitely a neat trick, but it has a lot of implications for key sanity modes where, you know, skipping the Hera big key or potentially a small key can be very relevant. But you're always running that risk. If you Hera pot to skip the big key in the basement, then you're skipping the big chest in Hera, which could potentially contain an item. So
I feel like I've seen that happen before.
Yes, it has definitely happened. So it is one of those things where you know, you're gambling a little bit. We've got chat suggesting that you go up the stairs the normal way, and I'm offended. I'm offended, sir.
This is speed gaming? We go fast here?
Yeah, this isn't lame gaming. Although, actually, there is something to be said for going up the stairs, again, depending on what your what your key scenario is. Or if you don't have the hook shot, right? Gotta have hook shot to do Hera pot, so. It's like trying to do Icebreaker when you don't have Samaria. Every once in a while, you gotta do Ice Palace the old-fashioned way. Just like Grandma intended with Ice Palace Bomb Jump.
Yeah, I watched the race I commentated yesterday. There we had to do the old-fashioned Ice Palace bomb jump, and it's very much learn your bomb jumps, kids. Still gotta break them out every now and then.
Yep. I wish my grandma would tell me to work on my bomb jumps, but she usually just feeds me. And you know what? I'll take it.
Oh yeah, those grandmas really know how to get you fattened up for the winter.
All right, so I think now's the time to keep your eyes on the left side of your screen because Illus is going to be doing some of these MITS checks at some point here. He's going to activate Turtle Rock first, obviously. But we're going to be seeing some checks that Willard did not have access to. So if Mirror or something else like Canis Maria or any other items that lead to progression are over here, could have some pretty large implications for this match. And it doesn't really matter what Medallion, Turtle Rock, or Misery Mire are because we've got all three of them. Illus opting to open up a Turtle Rock. I mean, I guess if you're already here and you don't have the mirror, that's a smart play. Even if you don't necessarily intend on going in here, it can really make your routing a little bit more straightforward for later. So, yeah, that appears to be the case. Worth noting that Willard has used the shovel in that area without actually doing the Dark World South loop, which we know where the that the MITs are there. So.
Yeah, but I think, judging from how he's running around into the forest now, that I think that area is probably on his mind, and he's gonna be reporting into the Dark World, and
and nothing in Hookshot Cave for Illus. So yeah, you could be right, Kari. I think Willard might be well on his way to MITs. Now we've got 2 checks here in Super Bunny Cave. So again, 2 more chances for Illus to maybe pull ahead here. $50, not enough. $100, still not enough. But even though Illus didn't actually get anything from this kind of superior MIT check routing, there's 2 things here. One, it will save him an extra climb in case Willard kind of comes up here and does the exact same thing. It will have cost Willard an extra Death Mountain climb. And the other thing is that, depending on whether or not he opts into Turtle Rock at some point, that option is still available to him. I was not sure if Willard had actually picked up the second item in Skullwoods, and apparently neither was he. So I'm guessing he's back in here checking this item spot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was an item there.
Yeah, his mental count was correct. But it was not worth it, and you saw a little chuckle out of him there. So, but despite the chuckle, that is a time loss. The back of Skull Woods has a lot of kind of zone transit or like screen transitions and stuff. So that is unfortunately time that he will bleed. So this is the check that Willard was kind of waffling on early when they both found their hammer on the uncle side of Escape. So I believe this is a check we have not seen. So this is more kind of implication for the matchup here, depending on what these runners find, because Illus is, I think, just checking Meyer out of habit. Maybe he's interested in what the logic required medallion was. Maybe that'll influence his decision, but when you've got all 3, it doesn't technically matter.
The shed next door is a pretty easy check to do, just 2 chests. If the thing you're looking for is right there, might as well.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I am super curious. Oh, wow, okay, so Illus also heading up to Escape. So if Willard does gain any advantage from this, it will be quickly recouped here from Illus. So very interesting. This is another one of those scenarios where if Willard does find Mirror down here, it might actually be worse for him because he doesn't have the mitts yet. So we'll have to see. All right, nothing. Willard is gonna take the very slow death from this green guard so he can check the Dark Cross.
Poke, poke, poke,
poke. Just
poke, 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 poke. There we go.
You know, it's like if you have like a younger brother or sister and you're the older one and they're trying to hit you and like they're swinging their fists at you and it's like, hey, it kind of hurts, but not really. Like that's what that was. You just have to sit there and take it so you don't get yelled at.
Yeah, I was thinking with like the poking, you know, they're just poking. Am I bugging it yet? Am I bugging it yet? Am I bugging it? And you like just have to sit there and take it, and then maybe if you want to humor them, you fall over like dead.
Yes. But in this case, when your younger sibling gets done annoying you, you don't spin around a circle, your life doesn't flash red, and you aren't teleported magically to the front of Hyrule Castle. Although that would be pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Alright, so escape not having a whole lot. I think this dark cross check is important. I am kind of morbidly curious as to where the lantern is in terms of logic. Willard letting that with the fire rod. That chest is in logic with the fire rod there. But some of the stuff that these runners have done, including Eastern Palace and Palace of Darkness, I believe we're technically out of logic without that lantern. So I'm trying to remember where the keys were in Eastern, so don't quote me on that.
It's been like 40 minutes or so. It's understandable.
Well, the back room of Eastern with the popos, that scary room we were talking about, is technically in logic with the fire rod because there are torches in the corner. So
I think we're finally gonna get our Mr. Zora check here. We're running out of locations to pick up the well, Willard I think is probably most likely looking for them Titansmiths right now.
Yeah, I mean he's doing a real good. He's doing a real good job of going everywhere that the Titansmiths aren't right now. But again, he routed the Thieves Town area and he routed Hype Cave separately. So like without the mirror, there's just not a lot of checks over there. So
I'm coughing hard up.
Yep, he should probably go to the Zora Veterinarian for that one. That doesn't seem. Maybe Zoras are like cows that have like 4 stomachs. Maybe Zoras have like multiple hearts. And Zora, the King Zora was just like, Link, you look like you could use more hearts.
Have mine. It's my gift. I am your friend. Yes.
Also, you might want to, like, I just imagine Link like turning a baggie inside out, like he's grabbing dog do, and he's like, thanks, Zora. I'm gonna put this somewhere useful, and then as soon as Zora's not looking, he throws it in the trash can. I'm imagining that's how that goes. All right, are we seeing a pendant Ice Palace dive? We are, just as Willard picks up his mitts and is gonna go, son of a, yeah, you saw the little shake of his head there. He knew it was late.
Yeah.
But again, depending on where Mir ends up being, see, Willard's got that tough choice of, do I go back up to Turtle Rock? If Willard goes up to Death Mountain, he might actually be more tempted to go into, like, for example, Pendant Turtle Rock, because he might feel behind, or he'll be like, I have checked all these other things, so the Turtle Rock play might like feel better at that point.
Yeah, the problem is no Canis Samaria just yet.
Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you. I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, so
well, maybe he's gonna hover it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Just going through the list of dungeons that they had left to check. Desert Palace, there's no book, no mirror, can't get in it. Swamp Palace, no mirror. Misery Mire, you can go in, but you can't finish it. So, Turtle Rock, can't go in.
A lot of these dungeons, I mean, now that my brain is fully processed lack of Arcane of Samaria, we were talking about learn your bomb jumps, kids. Talk to grandma, eat your food, and let her tell you to do your bomb jumps, because Illus is going to be showing us how we do Ice Palace Old School. But Misery Mire, as you mentioned, equally as crappy. Oh, and he gets bailed out by a full magic refill. That's very nice. But Misery Mire equally is lame, to be honest with you, without Canis Samaria. So
he's opening it up, so I guess he's gonna take that risk.
I do like this play. Like, if you like, Contemporary Wisdom is probably to head toward like Ice Palace. So Willard might feel, we can ask him about it later, but he might feel like a little bit behind, so he's like, you know what, I'm gonna make this play is not insane, like it's not objectively incorrect. It might be a little less strong than like the Ice Palace play, so see how Willard handles his Mire too. Does miss that first Wiz Road, that sucks. Meanwhile, Illus definitely pulling off the Ice Palace bomb jump, has not forgotten. It's like riding a bicycle, Kari. It's just like, you get on, you move on to the pixels, you drop the bomb, you don't fall on the concrete and skin your knee.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do enjoy this play for both runners. I think both of them are doing like what makes sense for their exact game state. All right, so Illus heading over toward the more chest-dense side of Ice Palace here. And again, because we're technically one item away from go mode, you're going to see Illus correctly grabbing that chest right there and saying, you know, all I'm looking for is mirror at this point. Could potentially need Canis Samaria, depending on where GT Big is.
There's the lamp in Misery
Wow.
Mire. Okay.
So the logical lamp was in Pendant Misery Mire. Interesting. Willard's actually probably really sad to see that, because that's one less item that could have been mirror for him. I think Samaria there would have been extra interesting, actually. And by interesting, I mean cruel and unusual. So, one item left in Mire. I never learned how to count to 3. I saw one item in Ice Palace, so we have either 1 or 2 left.
Well, Illus found
Samaria.
an icebreaker, so
Yeah. All right. So if you're Illus right now, you're probably like, oh god, because Canis Samaria at this point, you know, as my absent-minded brain said before, that opens up Total Rock. It opens up the rest of, you know, Pendant Misery Mire. But on the other hand, you might be thinking, well, if the GT Big Key is on right side GT, you know, at least I will have the item for that, right? Like, it's not a... There's 2 sides to that coin there, so... But as for right now, he's probably more annoyed than he is happy, because that is more checks that are on the table.
More checks that are not overlapping with progression, with like actual crystal progression.
Yep. Illus trying to remember his if he has enough small keys. Gonna have to come up here and yeah, he was forgetting that he actually had the Cane of Samaria, so yeah, you could do this the straightforward way there.
Well, I mean, he just got it. He has to like break it in a little bit.
Oh, I totally get it. I mean, your brain, you're used to entering Ice Palace, because like, if anyone's not familiar with the intended route for Ice Palace, it's actually one of the neatest dungeons, I think, in Link to the Past, like if you do it the intended way, because you're essentially supposed to go all the way to the bottom and then reflick the crystal switches and then come back again. It's like, it's super neat, like conceptually as a dungeon. But you know, when you come in there with one plan to get around that super neat but time-consuming dungeon, and then your plan flips halfway, you can see Illus there having to, like, oh yeah, I can just push this block and then use Canis Samaria. So we get a green pendant from Ice Palace. So, Carrie, do you think he's just gonna like turn it in immediately, like just double down?
I mean, you got the, what do you call it? The thing. Be able to run over there. Yeah, them boots can just run right over there and hand it over. So it's one extra item, and your next options are more annoying. So
okay, interesting. So it looks like Willard also heading to Ice Palace. He is going to be in a very similar situation as his opponent. Is this mirror? It is not.
Aww.
So we are still on a mirror hunt. I'm curious if Illus is going to go to Misery Mire or Turtle Rock. Yep, Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock.
Oh, this is super interesting. If I was a gambling man, I would say that Turtle Rock is probably the answer right now. But just having seen the other checks that Willard has done, but
I mean, I guess more numbers.
Well, I mean, there is an item on Vitreous. Willard only found, like, the only item that we found was the lantern. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's possible. But, I mean, if Willard finds, like, Willard will find the Canis Samaria in here. And he's going to have a choice. He's going to say, well, do I go up to Death Mountain that I have the mitts and there's Turtle Rock and there's a bajillion checks? Or do I go for the one item on Pendant Misery Mire Boss? I feel like there's a pretty straightforward answer to that question. That one of those has a lot more checks than the other.
I don't know, getting dead rocked right in front of the stairs.
I hate dead rocks. I could complain about dead rocks for the entire rest of the seed. I'm not going to, but I wanted to let you know that I could.
I can hear the list unfurling as we speak.
Item 1, they've got stupid faces. That was just a preview. All right, so got a couple questions in chat. What kind of seed is this? This was a open boot start with quick swap enabled. So both these runners start off at Link's house with nothing but dreams. Wow, Ice Rod in the compass first check in Turtle Rock. Well, if Illus wasn't planning on going all the way through, he is now. God. What a seed.
Yeah, another seed where it starts out like really nice. The runners both got, you know, good kits at the beginning, and then just everything dried up. Dungeons weren't having much at all, and other than 1 or 2 items here or there, and then Mitts on Stumpy were.
There it is. Wow. So Turtle Rock was the answer. So my joke response about hovering into Turtle Rock was not entirely inaccurate. So this is pretty big news for Illus, because he is basically in go mode at this point. Even the other optional item that he could have needed, depending on where GT Big was answered by that Canis Maria. So he is just going to blaze through Swamp Palace here. He'll swing by Desert, enter it with that mirror, and it'll be cleanup.
It's just straight up clearing dungeons for them crystals at this point.
I think Willard is going to be well on his way to finding the mirror, because once he picks up Canis and Maria here, I think he's going to be heavily incentivized to head up Death Mountain, because he's got all Dark Death Mountain to check, plus Turtle Rock. And it's going to be very easy to route all those in one check if he remembers to open up Turtle Rock from the top first for his Dark World access. I'm sure he will. But he will, unfortunately, he'll just be essentially an entire dungeon or so behind that Willard reaction for picking up Canis and Maria was pretty choice. I think he knows he might be in a little bit of trouble here. But again, I suspect he'll be on his way to where he needs to go, but he'll just be a little bit behind, unfortunately. Meanwhile, you're going to see Illus just destroy this Swamp Palace. We've got Canis Maria in hand. We're going to see some cool diver down tech. It's going to be good stuff. All right, let's check out Willard's cold stare here. He's got Butter Sword. He got a nice spin start. Very clean. Look at that.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That's what you like to see. Taking out his Maria-related frustrations on 3 puffs. Willard could gain some time back here if he opts to just say, screw Green Pendant, I am going up Death Mountain. But there's definitely a little bit of sunk cost fallacy here. It's like, yeah, like I've already spent time doing this. Like, do I just do it?
I mean, personally, I would go for the more numbers, so I would go up the mountain. But oh yeah, Willard never rescued the old man, so there's no save and quit start for him there. So yeah, I guess gonna head over to Srashwala's house.
Yeah, I saw him do that, and we were gonna talk about it, and got distracted by all the cool stuff happening. But yeah, you were right. It seems like an odd thing to skip when you have flute access, but if you're kind of playing by logic, you know, technically it wasn't a logic until he found that in Mire, or until he found that lantern in Mire. So, but he does turn in that green pendant. Honestly, I don't really blame him. You know, you wanna kind of complete that gamble, because you know, if something was on, like, for example, if Mir was on Dark Death Mountain, I think Willard might have felt that he was already behind enough where it wouldn't have mattered, whereas if it was on the green pendant, he might still be in business. So it's not a bad meta call, I don't think. It seems very reasonable to me.
You never know how... You never know if your opponent, you know, if they might have dipped out of Ice Palace after getting that Samari and said, you know, I'm going to take the risk here. and do the more numerous checks that giving Samaria gives me, versus finishing off this whole pendant dungeon for, you know, one more little thing.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, very smart. Willard showing off, showing you how to give the business to Dead Rocks there with the triple hook speed hook shot, just shoving them out of the way. If you re-hook shot the Dead Rocks before they finish their transformation animation, you can continue to push them. So, meanwhile, Illus just wrecking face in Swamp, like we said, had a nice diver down, took care of the puffs. We're going to be seeing a relatively quick desert. Again, there's really nothing. There's no chest there's not a single chest that Illus could open that would make his run faster. You know, we already talked about it. He's got silver arrows, butter sword, red mail, half magic, has every item he could possibly need to get through Ganon's tower. So, like, he's just on a tear, just destroying crystal dungeons. All right, so Willard is going to. Oh, he activated the Dark World from the bottom, so he is not going to be able to enter Turtle Rock unless he saves and quits. So he's probably really hoping for a mirror up here. This could have pretty big implications for Willard, depending on. Sometimes, yeah, he's heading up here and he's going to shortly realize that he does not have a mirror. It's something not to be underestimated and something that doesn't get talked about enough, I don't think. But there is definitely a lot of pressure you're under when you know you're being rebroadcasted and you're in a tournament, like a money tournament. Like, even if you're playing with friends, I know these guys have played each other and been involved in the rando scene for quite some time. But like, nerves are definitely a thing, you know, like mistakes you wouldn't normally make, or things you wouldn't normally think about, and execution things you wouldn't normally do. It's easy to get turned around. So until you've been in this scenario like this yourself, sometimes it's easy to underestimate the effect that nerves and jitters can have on your play, for sure.
Plus, just something like the mirror, when you're an hour 10 into a seed, you typically kind of have the mirror.
Yeah, I know, right?
And where am I going with this? Let me loading.
Well,
loading.
I mean, you're
Okay.
used to having it, so
Yeah,
so
used to
routing that
having
way.
it.
Routing that way makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, I thought we had Kane and Samaria like 20 minutes ago and we didn't, so I mean, clearly I know what's up. Or don't know what's up. Very nice Silver's Landmo 1 kill from Illus there. So yeah, that is crystal number 7 cleared out for Illus. So he'll be making his way up to GT. Meanwhile, Willard making the right call here. It did take him an extra Death Mountain climb, unfortunately, but he will be picking up. I'll be curious to see if he goes Compass Room or if he goes the Samaria Block Room first, because I kind of want to see his reaction if he picks up Ice Rod. I'm not gonna lie, I just want to see it personally for myself. Ah, yes, excellent. All right, so Willard about to find Ice Rod in Pendant Turtle Rock. Gonna be annoyed, and then we'll soon be reunited with a mirror. All right.
Meanwhile, we got numbers in chat. What's that mean?
Well, you know, there's one last item that we need for sure to find, Harry, and it's the GT Big Key. There are 22 chests that you know, could possibly contain the GT Big Key, and we like to guess which one it's going to be. And so we've got you know, we got some numbers coming out. Fortunately, I do not have the authority to start the game, so this one might be for funsies. But you'll all be winners in my heart, chat. Meanwhile, Willard picking up that mirror.
I couldn't read lips, so he just said "wow."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just
big
said
old
wow.
wow.
So yeah, Willard is unfortunately he has 2 crystal dungeons and a Death Mountain climb behind his opponent here. So I'm seeing some questions about climbing Death Mountain in chat. It is always faster if you need to get to GT. It is always faster to climb the right side of Ganon's tower and activate it and get there by Turtle Rock. It's always faster that way, even if you haven't actually opened up Turtle Rock yet and you have to or if you haven't opened up the portal, like if you have to hammer down the 3 pegs, it's still faster to do it that way than it is to go through Super Bunny Cave.
So Illus starting his GT tower climb, heading to the left.
Yep. So check 1, not the key. We saw it on the torch. Check 2, not good enough. Check 3 is a book. You could read all about how you wish you had the GT big key. And I gotta say, Illus is a proud supporter of the Half Dark Magician route. I like this route. You'll see a lot of people heading straight right into GT in this room here we call the Hope Room, because you really hope that there's a small key here. And in cases exactly like this, what a great visual aid. In cases exactly like this where there is no small key there, if you go left first and mirror out, and you will always have small keys to enter this room. So if the GT big key ends up being on this side, you will have saved time over your opponent who probably would have gone full left. However, if it's not over here, then you will have gone through a couple of screens a few extra times and have lost time. So I could talk about that GT routing all day because I really like it, but
yeah, there's so many different ways to do it.
All right, I believe that is chests up through 11. Yep, yeah, 11. So all the way up through 11 there.
Yeah. I had to like in the air in front of me count the room.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, okay, on the left side he did this many, and on my right hand he did this many, and then carry the number, mark it on the wall. Okay, yeah, that was.
Yeah, and then I see some people counting or talking about extra keys there. So if you have 2 keys, small keys, when you get done doing right side GT with that route, for the most part, you're okay. There's a few kind of rare scenarios where you can get bamboozled. So you might see people, if they have 2 keys, getting 3 just to be extra safe. Odds are pretty good you won't need that 3rd key, but there are some like key layout scenarios where it is possible you could get got. So some people will take that gamble to save time. It just kind of depends. So I believe that was 13? I'm so terrible at this. Chat's helping us out, though.
There was the
and
fire.
If there's one thing you can count on, it's the honesty and integrity of Twitch chat.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, 13. I always start counting, and then I start making words and thinking about other things, and I forget what number I had written down. 2 shields, wow. Thinking about what number was down there, and 13, 14, 15,
yeah,
16,
that's up to 17. Yeah, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Carrie. Like, I'll do the exact same thing. I'm like, I can't, like, look at all the behind-the-scenes stuff and then, like, form coherent thoughts and then count to 22 all at the same time. Like, I can't chew bubblegum and walk. It's a problem. So yeah, random room, not living up to its name, frankly. I'm disappointed in you, Randomizer room. But there is a chance for the all-important GT Tau room to be in play. In fact, there is a 22% chance, or 25% chance, right? Because there's 3 checks left plus that one. Booyah. Silver arrows, land mode 2, not particularly difficult. Although, oh wow, missed the 2 easier shots on that Landmo, but absolutely kills the 3rd really hard to make shot. Yes, get wrecked. That is a GT tile room. That is funny. All right, so what Willard needs to do is he needs to go straight to tile room, which is always the incorrect choice, by the way.
What is correct is the incorrect choice.
Yes. I mean, now it's the correct choice. But, I mean, if you're doing tile room first in GT, you are taking a very extreme gamble. Like, it is one of the worst gambles in the game, in my opinion, but it is always available to you. Unless you're playing Key Sanity mode. So yeah, if you guessed 22 in the GT Big Key guessing game, you guessed correctly. Or incorrectly, technically. Because why would you ever guess tile room? You're a monster.
Yeah, as we just said, even if it's the correct choice, it's the incorrect choice.
Yes. Well, there it is. GT Big Key. Meanwhile, Willard making his way through desert. Getting those nice dash lines through desert, getting the door dashes, doing it right. But unfortunately, all the good movement in the world I don't think is going to be enough. Illus would have to take several deaths or Ganon falls at this point for it to happen, so. Nice Mimic 2s from Illus there. Couple different ways to do that room.
So, a question in chat, is this best of one? This is a group stage, so there are, I believe, 4 racers per group. Each of those racers has to race each other within there.
There are 5.
And 5, okay, so each of the 5 racers in the groups has to race each other once. And then depending on the win-loss ratio, how many, would you know, how many is it
it's the top 2 from each group. We'll move on to the bracket stage. So yeah, each match does matter a lot, and I gotta tell you, looking at the groups, there are no slouch groups.
No, every group, they range from strong to strong. So
to strong. Yes, exactly. So we see Illus making his way through the gauntlet in the GT tower climb here, and does a pretty decent job. Again, when you're this kitted out, you've got Silver's. Oh no, I cursed him. He missed that. Okay, recovers nicely with the other 2.
How dare you? But yeah, the lag from the Silvers, depending on how things are going, especially with all the little fire guys shooting at you, can throw you off on getting the landmos there. But cleaned it up pretty nicely by the last one popping up right below him there.
A fast 2 cycle is respectable. And again, we talked about nerves that it can affect both runners. This is the part of a GT climb where you're climbing, and just on the corner of your eye, you're just keeping an eye on that race room just to see if your opponent finished. Anyone who says they don't look is a liar, or physically hides it so they can't look, which is probably the smart way to do it.
Yeah. Don't pull the window up until I'm ready to press that dot-down button.
All right, so Willard will be entering GT right around the time that I think Illus is going to be entering Moldorum 2. And again, just skipping by these chests, does have to pick up the key from the mini Helmasaur there. Yep, because you need one more to get through the pre-Moldorum 2 room. Yeah, no real reason to pick up to like powder those anti-furries for hearts, but most certainly needs that magic refill, so picks that up. All right, and as expected, we got a Moldorum 2 and a GT entrance.
That Moldorum was just like chasing Illus down right there, straight at him. So using the chest to hook shot over, that's all it's going to be used for today. As we, Illus here does the final march to our favorite math teacher, Aghanim 2.
Exactly. We were talking about calculations before, and I wasn't joking. Get out your protractors and your compasses, kids. It's Aghanim 2. Now, the 2 shadows will always throw the correct, the reflectable hit ones, but the regular clone of Aga himself has a 50-50 of the blue ball. Illus, unfortunately, missing all of the first round, does get 2 of the 6 required hits in round 2. Oh, was that a triple? I could not tell if that last one hit. That would have been a... He still wouldn't have gone through that cycle, but it would have been a nice recovery. I think he might have.
It's hard to tell if there was enough distance between all 3 of those hits that all 3 counted, so it does look like it did count. Yeah,
we do know because he died in 1 hit on the 4th round, so yeah, in Twitch chat, clearly they had their utensils for math out because they had the correct number. So good work. I always knew I could count on Twitch chat. I can also count on Ganon getting destroyed by Illus right here because We keep talking about it. These guys are kitted out. They've got everything. They got the best sword, the best armor, the best weapons to kill Ganon the fastest. We're seeing the dash poke strats from Illus, very clean. Like to see it. We're gonna see some bat dodging like it's the Matrix here. Look at that. No bullet time needed. All right, well, it does take one. But in the movies, Neo did take a couple bullets to the side of his, you know, like it counts. It's very lore accurate.
It keeps it exciting. It's if the hero just, you know, completely trounces over the villain, you kind of want to get your $20 for your movie ticket back.
Yeah, exactly. And more importantly, taking damage there does not make the fight any slower, though. Oh, nice setup. Although Illus, Ganon just a little bit too low to get the, or too high to get the triple, but still a very, very fast Ganon fight. So get your GGs out there for Illus, because that was a very well done seed right there. Raising his sword up on high. All right, good work. So yeah, lots of good sportsmanship. That's what I like to see. Lots of GGs in chat. And if I had to guess, I'd say that was Willard reaching over to put a GG in chat. Also a good sport as well. I think this was I think Willard probably knew what was up when he got those late mitts, because I feel like that was really the story of this seed. Just kind of routing those mitts late and not really being incentivized quite as heavily to get to Turtle Rock when he did. So, but I mean, really, when you think about it, like Cane of Samaria in Pendant Ice Palace, like that's just gross. Like most runners want to save Ice Palace for when they have Cane of Samaria. You know, not everyone, you know, it's just so much faster to save it that way. So it's kind of the first runner that doesn't want to play chicken, you know, and decides to take the hit and do it slow. So
yeah,
in this case, it ended up being Illus.
And then that Cane of Samaria in Pendant Ice Palace leading to Mir in Pendant Turtle Rock.
Yeah, definitely.
Along with Willard's dip into Pendant Mire, hoping to find one of those two items there. So a lot of pendant dipping. We got, you know, what about, you know, these pendants are what, green, red, and blue. So, you know, cherry, blueberry, and green apple dipped candy pendants for everybody today.
Willard gets done with Ice Armos, which, by the way, 6 shots, 6 kills. And then just is like, really, after all this garbage, I've got to go do Talaru.
A little pause.
Just want to give him a hug.
Just shake of the head. Nah.
He knows what's up. But yeah, I definitely really good showing by both runners here. But Illus definitely, I think routing in, you know, that mitts and just kind of getting that pathway done made his route a little bit clearer, and having the knowledge to get back up to Turtle Rock at some point to make that play. I liked it. It was good. Meanwhile, we're seeing this is kind of a cool tech if you haven't seen this before. So if you activate the cape and then hold on to something, in this case, Willard is gripping the kind of the little fireball shooter there. If you are always gripping something, you will not actually lose magic power when the cape is active. So it's kind of a cool way to be invulnerable in that room and not actually have it like cost anything. So I do like that magic refill. Quick thinking by Willard. Enter your GT top and have full magic for the pew pews. Pew pew, that's in my head, that's the noise Fire Rod makes. I think Fire Rod has like the most like satisfying like sound effect in this game. Maybe it's just me, but like the whoosh noise it makes, I could listen to it all day. I need to change my phone's to receive text message noise to Fire Rod noise.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
For a while, it's been the Murloc noise from World of Warcraft, because I used to have a Warcraft edition. But I feel like Fire Rod whoosh noise is the superior option there.
My text message received noise is the Oh, okay. Looks like Willard is kind of noping out of this one here. Just that hands up in the screen there and not doing much. Safe to say this might be this is a forfeit. Or is he gonna keep going? I don't have access to the race time GG room to see if he.
I don't either, but nah, he's soldiering on. I can respect that. Nice walk through those cannonballs there. The pattern worked out, but he did handle it well. Armed with that full magic, I suspect we'll see either some silvers or fire rod usage in this room here. Wow, very nice Stalfos room there for the first part of the gauntlet. That red Stalfos are very annoying because they're coded to react to your sword swipes. So if you attack them from too far away with your sword reach, you could sometimes have trouble like actually executing them. So you'll see a lot of runners in that room using like silver arrows or more specifically fire rod. Fire rod is nice because it's fast on the draw and the projectile moves very fast. The hard part about using silvers there is that you know, there's just delay and of course screen lag from the particles. Willard intentionally, that's really cool to see. Oh, very nice. Willard showed off some cool tech there. So if you, the RNG is, or rather the Lamo 2s there will spawn kind of based off of a lot of things that happened in previous rooms. Like for example, if you powder that bunny beam there to get like health back, it will actually affect the rate at which the Lamo spawn. So if you want to get them as fast as possible with like silvers, you will intentionally skip the bunny beam powder there and just go right in, so they'll kind of come at you one at a time. Willard set up that room such that the Lanmos would all spawn at the same time. He gets them all with a sword spin and a butter sword slash. Very cool to see. And then of course immediately after that amazingly cool tech, screws up the Wizrobe Samari block room. So I can't give him all praise without yelling at him a little bit. So Willard in a similar situation as his opponents here in terms of small keys. So does have to pick up the small key off the mini Helmosaur there. So he already showed us some swag. Are we going to see a ridiculous Moldworm 2 hover, one of the most annoying hovers in the game? There. So he wants to powder. There we go. Oh, that got me. That was awesome. That was good stuff. That was down home cooking. Oh, come on. Willard just debating me. I thought we were to see the hover.
Just some bomb drops, getting rid of the extra baggage as waiting for Moldorm to turn around and hookshot and over.
We've got a chance to see Willard's got a chance to perhaps improve over Illus's Aga 2 fight. Perhaps he has an extra protractor because it took Illus 4 cycles to complete Aga 2. Willard has a chance to do it in 3. Let's see if he can pull it off. All right, well,
one shot.
That's infinitely better than Illus did at his first round. All right, 2. All right, so is it possible to get a triple with this setup? It would have been, but it would have been difficult, so. But yeah, 4 is pretty standard with that pattern, I think. It would have been difficult to do more than that, although certainly possible. All right, so Willard waiting around for the duck to mysteriously pick him up in the Dark World for some reason in the lore that's never explained. And we're going to see another, again, we're going to see another kitted out Ganon fight. Both these runners, very capable of making short work. So let's see how Willard does here. Okay, I think his strategy involves making faces at Ganon. Yep, it does. Okay, now he's jumping down. That's good. That's the intimidation factor. That's what you want to do. You want to throw Ganon off his game.
Just psych him out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we couldn't hear it because there's no mic, but I suspect, but I cannot confirm that he may have called Ganon a doo-doo face right before dropping in the hole.
Them
Which
fighting.
I know. I think that might be crossing the line. Frankly, I think that's reckless and inappropriate. But you know, that's how Willard. That's how he plays his seats. He calls Ganon like he sees him. All joking aside, though, pretty clean phase 1 and 2 for Willard there. Buttered Sword makes that pretty free. Ganon warps were pretty good this seed. To be honest with you, he didn't really go crazy. Oh, very clever. Willard using the extra time that it takes for the tiles to fall to get a couple extra shots in. That very neat. You don't see that very often. That was cool.
And going off to the side instead of taking it from the bottom there to get that double in before torch glitching, and doing another double for beating Ganon. Now just have to walk up the stairs.
So yeah, get your GGs out there from Willard, or for Willard rather. Put on a good show. Got a little goozled by the location of a few items, but still showed off some cool tech. We got the fun wave.
Yeah, a little so-so wave, like seat at the end there before waving by off the cam.
But yeah, very interesting seed for sure. I think the Mitts and Samaria and Mirror were definitely kind of were jumbled in such a way to make a real interesting watch there. So just in terms of where things were and how they were routed. So yeah, very good. So, and again, I see chat being real good sports there, throwing out the GGs for Willard. That's what I like to see. GGs to Illus for definitely taking the victory here. But yeah, this and again, these group stages are going to be making, more games will get played throughout the beginning of the week here. I believe group stages are supposed to be finished up and finalized by the end of Thursday for the bracket run, which happens this weekend, including Friday. Don't quote me on that time. But yeah, I mean, you could throw a dart at a board with all the matchups in the group stages and you would not hit a bad one. I mean, there are 80 runners in here, and all of them, except for me, are really good at this game. So there's lots of stuff you need to check out for all these runners. So yeah, I'm curious to see what the collection rates were. I don't know if we'll see it from Willard's screen or not, but I suspect he might have a couple more checks, but I don't think it'll be a lot. I think the real story of the seed was just sequencing in terms of when you got Mitts and when you decided to go to other locations, because Willard ended up just having to do just a couple extra jogs around to different places that Illus ended up not doing. So all right. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to be joined by any runners here or not, but either way, definitely was a good show. And I'd like to thank Bright Beginner for doing the tracking for us. I'd also like to thank Karaoke for helping me out with comms here. It was definitely a good time.
Yeah, good always to calm with you again. I know we haven't run into each other too much, but always good when it does happen. So for our friends here in chat, of course, shout out to Twitch chat for sticking around and watching this race all the way through. There's a lot going on for Speed Gaming Live 2020 across the Speed Gaming network of channels, but if you are specifically interested in more Link to the Past Randomizer today, over on Speed Gaming Prime, around 11:50 p.m. Eastern, we have a Group F match, Ralkin versus Sphere Agent. That's going to be another strong matchup there. And then, of course, a bunch of matches tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all throughout the week. And, of course, as well later this week, along with all the tournaments that we have going on later this week. Over on Speed Gaming 2, well, right here, actually on Speed Gaming 2, there will be a speedrunning marathon as well as part of the event. So if you were wondering what to watch this week, just stay here. You don't need to go anywhere else.
Yeah, we actually might be joined by one of these two. If you give me a second here, hold on.
I'm holding. My desk is getting gripped.
It's definitely we're not at all like filling for time or anything like that. It's everything is certainly well in hand. All right, so it looks like we are joined by Illus here. Illus, GG, congrats on your victory, sir.
GG, thank you.
So yeah,
Yeah,
how that seed definitely, there was a lot of interesting stuff going on there. Like what stands out in your mind about this seed the most?
there was a lot. It was annoying that Hammer was on Uncle because I'm not an Uncle router. It was annoying that mids were on Stumpy because I made the whole loop until I got to Stumpy as one of my last checks in the regular Dark World. And that Kane was rude, and that Ice Sword was a bait. It was kind of funny overall.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny when you guys entered Turtle Rock. I was curious because Illus, we saw you in there first, and I was so we didn't know anything it was there. And when you saw when you went left and saw the ice rod, I'm like, well, I guess we're we're clearing this whole thing. And then Mir was in like the very next chest.
Yeah, I told myself that I would just go for it, and maybe go for the pedestal if the R was empty. But it didn't need to go that far.
So you said, did you feel behind at the time that you checked mitts, Illus, or?
I wasn't too sure. I don't play Willard very often due to time zone differences. But I felt like there was a very real chance that I didn't get the mids first, and I wanted to play around that for a bit. For example, I wouldn't check hammer pegs or smiths or whatever. Without the mirror, it was kind of a pain anyway. Yeah, I tried to make the best of it and just go for the places I thought there was progression.
Well, we are also. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
I hope to find the mirror directly in the ice, but it was the cane first. Yeah, so go ahead now.
Oh yeah, well I was actually going to ask Willard the same question because both of you, I think when you entered the light world, since you had hammer and bow, hype cave to pod made a ton of sense. But you did end up finding the mitts a little bit later, Willard. Like, did you feel behind when you picked them up, or like what was going through your head?
Oh yeah, of course I did. Because before I got them, I went back and redid a bunch of early checks. I was so shocked that there were 3 small keys in the front of Skull Woods. And I still refused to believe it. And I didn't want to lose because of mitts or mirror or something being in the back of Skull, so I went right back there as soon as I felt like I could. And yeah, if there was anything I wish I had changed routing wise, it would have been do back of Skull first, all the way down through Village of Outcasts down to Stumpy. It would have saved me so much time. But then at the same time, I probably would have done a bunch of extra overworld first before making the Ice or Meyer play. So, but when I did find the mitts, yeah, I was panicking, so I went straight for Meyer and found me a lamp. And then
I mean, you were technically right, Willard. Like, you were supposed to go there. Yeah.
I at that point, once I found Samaria, I was just, and then I had completely forgot about Ice Tea Room, but glad that didn't have anything. I was just hoping that the mirror wasn't locked by Samaria, but the GT big key was. And Illus was stuck in a double dip GT situation. So, but that of course didn't happen, and it ended up being a Tower Room. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, when Illus, when you picked up that Cane of Samaria, like you guys obviously didn't have mirror at that time, but were you relieved that you don't have to worry about a right side GT scenario, or are you more annoyed because Cane opened up more checks?
Definitely both. I was relieved as well. I told myself, I think my first reaction was, oh no, it's not the mirror. And my second reaction was, well, at least I don't have to think about right side GD shenanigans. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was both, pretty much at the same time for me.
Yeah, I feel that. because like I hadn't even I basically just went straight for the pendant dungeons, and if I had just continued following Samaria and like went straight into T-Rock instead of doing what I did, which forced me to reclimb Dark Death Mountain twice because I'm an idiot, then might have saved a little bit of time there. I also wasn't. I did see Illus finish, and I wasn't sure if we were doing some sort of like seeding based on average time, so I kept going. But honestly, I should have just. I would have rather just forfeit right there and just skip straight to the interview when I get a chance. So I did get the cool pinball strat on Lamels. That was about it.
Yeah, that was neat. I saw you intentionally waiting out so they would all spawn at the same time, and you got the good RNG too. You executed it well.
Yeah, it's some really nice strats. Like I could watch at the end. That was really cool.
All right. Well, any final thoughts from you guys about how this seed went before we wrap her up here?
Overall, I think the seed went kind of well because I ended up being able to skip a few locations that cost a lot of time, and I didn't feel too bad about how it went. But obviously, it was pretty troll in some sense. And yeah, as for the group stages, I'm glad I won this one because Willard is probably is the strongest competitor in this group for me, I think. So yeah, I'm glad.
GG's, man. Now you just got to go 4-0.
GG. I'll go for it.
All right, guys. Well, that'll do it for us. Thanks again for putting on an awesome show. It was a pleasure to do commentary of your excellent gameplay. And thanks to Karaoke for, again, putting up with me on the mic here.
Yeah, and thanks to you for putting up with me.
Excellent. And props to Bright Beginner for doing the tracking for us. And again, make sure you stay tuned here at SpeedGaming Live. There's tons of great randomizer action coming up, and in addition to other cool stuff that's going on in the SpeedGaming family of channels. So if you aren't already, make sure you're following SpeedGaming and SpeedGaming 2 through 6 because there's more great content like this. So thanks for sticking around, guys, and we'll see you next mission.
Have a good night, day, week, whatever.